Rue's death. What if Rue Bennett has been narrating Euphoria from beyond the grave this entire time? The theory suggests Rue died during her initial substance-related incident in Season 1, Episode 1, and has been narrating everything as a final record of how it happened. An alternative version proposes Rue died during the Season 2, Episode 4 relapse, when she envisioned reunion with her deceased father. Show creator Sam Levinson described that Season 2, Episode 4 experience as Rue entering a place between life and death when high. Key evidence includes the Season 1 Halloween montage, where Rue and Jules recreate iconic romantic movie scenes. In recreations of Titanic, Ghost, and Brokeback Mountain, Rue plays the characters who die, which fans see as deliberate foreshadowing. During the near-death sequence in Season 2, Episode 4, narration shifts away from Rue to Jules, which some viewers interpret as Rue leaving the story. Rue's omniscient narration also includes events and conversations she was not present to witness, and she narrates intimate backstories of characters she barely knows with impossible detail. Rue herself warns viewers in Season 1, Episode 1 that she's not always the most reliable narrator. Fezco also explicitly tells Rue he does not believe what a substance user says in a pointed moment. Actor Jacob Elordi addressed the theory in interviews, while Zendaya has emphasized themes of hope and redemption that suggest Rue survives, though nothing is confirmed. If true, it reframes the entire show as tragedy told in past tense, where every moment of hope becomes potential foreshadowing. Third Jacobs. A family portrait appearing twice across 2 seasons reveals the Jacobs family is hiding a third son who mysteriously vanished. The family portrait in Cal and Marsha's home shows 3 boys, Nate, Aaron, and an unknown younger brother. The photo first appears in the Season 1 pilot episode on the wall, then reappears prominently in Season 2 Episode 4, when intoxicated Cal takes it with him while abandoning his family. Jacob Elordi, who plays Nate, told Entertainment Weekly in 2019 that he pointed out the different child in the picture, and everyone just did not really say anything. After the long gap between seasons, the portrait coming back again makes fans feel it is intentional, not a random prop mistake. Eric Dane and Jacob Elordi have both said they have not been told who the third brother is. The timing of Cal staring at the photo lines up with him saying they all have secrets, which fuels the theory that the missing brother is the darkest secret of all. Fan theories include, the third brother died by self-inflicted harm, the third brother died due to violence, he was sent away to a facility, he was disowned, or he disappeared after a covered-up family tragedy. The most popular version argues Nate's behavior is not just rooted in Cal's tapes, but also in a missing sibling event that warped the whole family. No newer photos show the third child, suggesting the disappearance happened years ago when the boys were young. Unreliable narration. Rue admits she's unreliable, but viewers may not realize just how much of Euphoria could exist only in her substance-altered imagination. Rue explicitly warns the audience in Season 1, Episode 1, that she's not always the most reliable narrator. The statement comes right as the camera flips during Rue's haze, almost like the show is telling you, visually, that perspective is about to be distorted. Fezco tells Rue he does not believe anything someone with substance dependence says, whether it is positive or negative. He explains that when someone is deep in it, their words can become flimsy, twisted, and unreliable, because the brain is wired to protect access to substances and escape consequences. Then the Jules special episode reveals that the lip tattoo moment from Season 1 did not actually happen the way it was shown, with Rue having imagined at least part of it. That detail fractures the audience's unconscious reliance on Rue's narration as objective truth. From there, fans rewatch everything differently. Rue narrates intimate backstories of people she barely knows with impossible detail. She also describes events she did not witness, which could be the show's storytelling style or could be part of the point. Rue might be filling in blanks, misremembering, or confidently guessing. A big fan theory argues the show's unrealistic extremes, including the scale of parties and the heightened drama, represent emotional truth rather than literal truth. In Season 2, as Rue's condition worsens, her narration becomes less structured and more fragmented, and she openly admits memory gaps and contradictions while still sounding certain. Elliot's reality. What if Elliot, the boy who enables Rue's worst impulses, is not a real person at all, but the physical embodiment of her condition? The theory suggests Elliot only exists in Rue's mind, appearing when her emotions run high and she needs a companion who makes self-destruction feel normal. Elliot primarily interacts only with Rue and Jules, and fans point out how rarely he is treated like a real presence by other characters. In the living room intervention sequence, Rue's mother never directly addresses Elliot despite his presence, which viewers read as either a staging choice or a clue. Elliot tells Jules during the intervention that he liked Rue the way she was, a line fans interpret as the voice of the struggle speaking, because addiction tends to resist change and recovery. Elliot facilitates and encourages Rue's substance use throughout Season 2, and he often frames it as connection, creativity, and fun. The theory parallels Fight Club's Tyler Durden, an imaginary figure embodying the protagonist's suppressed desires and destructive impulses. Elliot tends to appear during Rue's highest highs and lowest lows, not her stable stretches. Whether Elliot is literally imaginary or simply symbolically written, the theory says the show uses him to personify temptation, escape, and the false comfort that makes relapse feel like relief. Nate's obsession. Nate Jacobs' violent fixation on Jules is not just about protecting his father. The theory argues it is also about confronting forbidden attraction that threatens his carefully constructed heterosexual identity. Nate catfished Jules online as sensitive Tyler before later threatening her in person, and the whiplash between tenderness and cruelty is what fuels this theory. Jacob Elordi has said in interviews that even the actors and creator were not always sure whether Nate's Tyler persona was pure manipulation or something that started to feel real. That ambiguity is the engine of the fan interpretation. Nate might have gone in with a mission, but he got emotionally attached in a way that terrified him. Fans connect that terror to the trauma of discovering Cal's secret life and recordings when he was young, which could have fused desire with disgust and fear inside Nate's head. In this read, Nate's obsession with control becomes a defensive reaction. Jules represents a truth Nate cannot accept about himself, so he tries to dominate her, scare her, or destroy her. And because Nate cannot separate love from power, any attraction manifests as threats, surveillance, and cruelty. This does not excuse Nate's abuse. It just explains why Jules, specifically, pushes the most unstable and contradictory side of him to the surface. Lexi's feelings. Lexi Howard's constant observation of Rue and Jules might reveal more than friendship, with evidence suggesting she has been in love with Rue all along. Rumors suggest the Season 1 Episode 5 practice kissing scene between Rue and Lexi was not in the original script, but that detail is not confirmed, so it remains fan talk. What is visible on screen, though, is how the scene is staged and what comes after it. Immediately after Lexi leaves Rue's room, a glowing heart and a rainbow rug are visible in the background, which fans read as coded symbolism. Lexi also watches Rue and Jules throughout Season 1 with an intensity that can feel like longing, not just concern. At the winter formal, Lexi's conversation with Nate's date about remembering the night forever gets interpreted as her hinting at something personal she will not say directly. Lexi smiles when Rue texts her in the Season 1 finale, and she consistently shows up as stability when Rue is spiraling. The theory argues Lexi's love is quiet and selfless compared to the intense, combustible Rue and Jules dynamic. Even if it is platonic, fans say Lexi's devotion is framed in a way that feels like heartbreak. The person who stays is rarely the person who gets chosen. By the way, if you're enjoying this, I post videos like this all the time. Subscribing would really help me out. Cassie's pattern. Cassie's self-destructive relationship with Nate is not random. The theory says she is subconsciously recreating her parents' toxic dynamic to prove she can succeed where her mother failed. Cassie's father gave attention elsewhere, while Suze felt neglected and eventually abandoned, and Cassie grew up absorbing a lesson that love is something you compete for, not something you receive safely. In Cassie's eyes, her father is the adored one, and her mother is the cautionary tale. That makes Cassie determined to avoid Suze's fate, but the theory argues she does it in the worst possible way, by chasing the exact type of relationship that created that fate in the first place. Cassie gravitates toward Nate partly because of his connection to Maddie. In a twisted mirror of her mother's marriage, Cassie becomes obsessed with winning a man who is emotionally unsafe, because winning would rewrite her childhood story. When Nate looks at Cassie dressed like Maddie, it confirms Cassie's fear that she is only lovable if she becomes someone else. Suze's disgust in Season 2 can also be read as self-disgust. She is watching her daughter reenact a life she recognizes. The theory reframes Cassie's collapse as intergenerational trauma repeating itself in real time. Romeo Juliet. Shakespearean clues scattered throughout Euphoria suggest Rue and Jules are doomed to repeat the tragedy of history's most famous star-crossed lovers. Jules quotes Romeo and Juliet, Act 2, at the Season 1 Halloween party while intoxicated in the pool. Although I joy in thee, I have no joy of this contract tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden. Fans connect that to how Jules repeatedly feels overwhelmed by Rue's intensity, even when she cares about her. The scene also parallels the 1996 Romeo plus Juliet imagery, especially the romantic pool visuals. Then, the Season 2 premiere opens with Rue's scene playing Tupac, followed by Jules' scene with Biggie. Fans map the rivalry and tragic endings onto the Rue and Jules arc, reading it as foreshadowing that love will not save them if the world around them stays violent and unstable. Leaked original pilot scripts reportedly showed Rue taking Nate's life in an earlier draft, which fans link to a Romeo and Juliet fatal spiral structure. It has also been reported that early plans had Fezco experiencing death in Season 1 before the story shifted. Whether or not the show follows Shakespeare to the letter, the theory argues Euphoria is deliberately building a doomed lover's framework, then daring viewers to hope it can be broken. Laurie's actions. When Rue woke up in Laurie's apartment with extra marks and new clothes, something terrible may have happened during those missing hours. Laurie fronted Rue $10,000 worth of substances in Season 2, then explicitly threatened trafficking and exploitation if Rue did not pay. Laurie tells Rue that if she screws her over, she will have her kidnapped and sold to real sick people, which makes the stakes unmistakably dark. Season 2, Episode 5 shows a locked door in Laurie's apartment with scratching sounds and moaning behind it. The lock being on the outside is a detail often cited in discussions referencing anti-trafficking organization Love 146, though the connection is generally made through commentary and reporting rather than a direct scene-by-scene statement from the organization. When Rue arrives in withdrawal, the theory argues Laurie uses grooming tactics, speaking softly, presenting herself as understanding, and offering help that creates dependency. Laurie injects Rue with morphine, and after Rue wakes up, fans point to the unexplained marks, the changed clothes, and the sealed feeling of the space as evidence something more happened while Rue was unconscious. The theory proposes Rue may have been exploited for payment before escaping. It is intentionally ambiguous, which is why it fuels so much debate. Hidden camera. While Maddie plays dress-up in Samantha's closet, a hidden camera in an alarm clock captures everything. But why is it there? Season 2, Episode 6 shows an extended close-up of the alarm clock in Samantha's closet, pointed directly at the space where Maddie tries on clothes. Fans treat the long shot as the show practically underlining it. You are supposed to notice this. Samantha texts Maddie that she will be home in 15 minutes while Maddie is in the closet, and the theory suggests Samantha knows what Maddie does and is giving her time to reset the scene. A popular version claims Samantha has romantic feelings for Maddie, and the most cited evidence is that Samantha later gives Maddie the exact dress she tried on, implying Samantha either saw her in it or already knew she wanted it. Another theory says the camera is pure security, watching expensive clothes and jewelry. The darker read is the one fans cannot shake. It echoes the show's larger pattern of adults surveilling teens without consent. The fact the show never addresses it directly is exactly why it feels like a hanging threat rather than a resolved plot point. Faye's role. Faye claims she is hiding from police, but her constant questions and quiet observation of everything Fez does suggests she might be connected to the pressure closing in on him. Faye's backstory includes the claim that she pushed a motel manager off a balcony, leading Custer to hide her with Fez. Even inside Fez's already risky world, bringing Faye into the home seems like an unusually dangerous move. The theory focuses on how Faye asks questions she should not ask, like whether Fez ended Mouse. She notices things, sits in rooms like furniture, and is present for conversations that could be used as evidence later. Some fans theorize she is actively working with law enforcement. Other fans think she is not a mastermind, but a pawn being used by Custer, who might be the real informant. The Season 2 finale confirms Custer was in that informant space, but Faye's actual role remains murky. That uncertainty is why the theory persists. She could be betraying Fez, she could be trapped, or she could be the only person in the house who realizes how doomed they are and cannot stop it. Kat's crisis. Kat's dramatic personality shifts and fabricated terminal condition confession suggests something deeper than typical teenage insecurity. One theory argues she is experiencing a dissociative-style identity struggle, where her persona and her real self are splitting further apart. Kat explicitly states she does not know who she is, then laughs, like she cannot tolerate saying it plainly. Across the show, Kat performs what she thinks people want: confidence, desirability, power. But when she actually gets a kind boyfriend, the performance collapses, because it no longer has a purpose. Her relationship with Ethan becomes a mirror she cannot stand to look into, because he is asking for honesty while she is drowning in confusion. Then she tells Ethan she has a terminal condition affecting her brain to break up, which is such an extreme lie that fans read it as panic, not cruelty. Barbie Ferreira has addressed that Kat's Season 2 storyline was reduced, which fuels another theory. Kat's arc feels unfinished because it literally is. Fans think Season 3 could either deepen this identity crisis or quietly move past it, but the emotional clues are already planted. If you enjoyed this, think about subscribing so you never miss new content. Thanks for watching.